people think that if it's natural, that means it's safe. I can take anything. Like I said, with the whole adaptogens as well, they're in the natural side of life, but they could be harmful to you. So that also does not mean it's safe. You've got to see whether it works for you. And what does natural literally mean? Because there is no regulation on supplements. So, it kind of leads on to the other side. Like I said, there is no regulation at all. And I don't think people are aware of that. So I am quite torn in terms of what could be the most misleading myth. Uh, I peop I think natural means safe would be what people would believe, because I don't think people understand the whole regulation bit fully.
Yeah. Yeah. So, natural
Mm.
means time, natural means safe, or what works for what fits all.
Um, this is an amazing question. I'll tell you why. Because people see people on social media, and someone says, I did this diet or I took this and it worked for me. And they think that if it worked for her, it should work for me and it should work for somebody else sitting next to me. So, and they get influenced, right? So I have to say, in this case, the myth is 100% what works for one works for all, thanks to the influence that we get based on what we see on social media. So I think that's a very big myth, and that needs to be communicated as loud as possible for people to understand that that is not true. So, you are individual, and your health is completely different from anybody else.
What works for one works for all. Yeah,
Yeah.
very misleading. Yeah.
Oh, many people who agreed with me.
Taking supplements with meds is really safe and still stay on what works for one works for all.
See, I explained that what works for one works for all, but I think the whole supplement can work. There's always a timing for every supplement, right? You can't take, uh, like, for example, I wouldn't take an ashwagandha in the morning, or I wouldn't take a magnesium glycinate in the morning because it's going to suppress my nervous system down. I would take that in the night so that it actually calms me down and I can go to sleep. Um, so there's a timing for every supplement, and then there is an interaction that it can have with other supplements. So I don't think that statement that taking supplements with meds is always safe, the right statement. But I would say that in this case, but the cross thing, the interference of the medicine, I unless until you eat it and it causes any effect to you, you will not realize. I think my vote here in this statement, I would still be very loud for what works for one works for all as the myth, because I think I want to speak as much as possible on misting this, you know, busting this myth for people, that
Yeah.
please stay away from this myth.
48% agree. And so, more is always better. And still, what works for one works for all.
I have to talk about this. More is always better. I have this friend of mine. She used to take about 8 or 9 supplements a day. Like, she used to have one green pill, but she used to be like, no, these are all organic, they're healthy. I just take them. And her hand used, like, literally full. And plus, she used to have some powders and stuff like that. And she used to have, and I tell people that that is not, and just because you take a supplement does not mean your body absorbs that quantity. So, you've got to be very mindful on the absorption of that particular supplement in your body. So just because you take 20 pills doesn't mean that your body will absorb all of that. So that is absolutely a ridiculous statement with people, that more is always better. It's, I mean, you, like I said, the overdosing here is a concern for me,
Yeah.
because people just randomly take supplements. It doesn't really work. So that, if in this case, I would say that more is always better is a myth that needs to be broken.
Yeah, the most misleading. 50% agree. So, more is always better. For one supplement fix many diseases.
Um, you know, the one supplement fixes many diseases is not possible. Like people think that if I take one multivitamin, everything will be okay. Fine. I mean, the multivitamin could be fantastic, but I always tell people also, whenever they take a supplement, if they do, you've got to cycle a supplement as well, because after a certain time, your body will not absorb that supplement at all. So take a break and then, restart. But this whole thing of one supplement fixing many disease is again not possible, unless like it's probably an omega 3 if you're taking, and because that can reduce inflammation, and if the inflammation is reduced in the body, automatically lots of things can go right. So that is a possibility. But in this statement where I'm saying more is always better and one supplement, I have to say more is always better will have a vote for me, because that is again a statement we need to, a myth we need to break. So I will go with more is always better.
Yeah. More is always better. All my genes guarantee supplement benefit. A lot of DNA tests and a lot of just DNA research, which can make people believe that some supplements work for them special and so on. I mean, this or more is always better.
Um, in this case, if somebody's actually done a whole gene test, I think hats off to them, because understanding your genes right now with our the current lifestyle is very necessary, especially to understand the telomeres, you know, in general, if there's any mutation that is happening. So I think if you're able to, have you done your gene test? Fantastic. And based on your gene test, if you worked with a doctor and the doctor has recommended some supplements to work for you and you're following that regime, hats off to you. I think very well done, because you are, taking care of your health, not somebody else's health. So it's a fantastic um, way to do it. But does it guarantee? I'm saying if you've done that whole study and you worked with a doctor to get the supplement, then yes, the statement is 100% true. And I don't think it's a myth. But if you've not done anything and you just think that, oh, I've got very strong genes and, taking this supplement will work wonders for me, then that is stupidity. But if I have to vote, again, I would say, because the statement is very clear that my understanding that they've done a study, I would say more is always better would still be a statement, I would say.
And the last one, more is always better, or supplements replace a healthy diet.
110 marks or points for supplement replace a healthy diet. Now, that's a myth that has to be busted. That is the myth misleading people, because supplements can never, ever replace a diet. As the name suggests, it's a supplement. It is not your meal. You cannot pop 10 pills and say, yes, I have met all my dietary requirements. No, you meet your dietary requirements with the food you eat. And if there is anything missing, is when you supplement. So that is why it's a supplement. So I have to say, supplements replace a healthy diet is an absolute stupid myth.
Yeah, let's go with them. Or you said, what about our statistics? So, the worst one is natural mint day. It's misleading. Then, all supplements are fully regulated. Yeah. Then, the terrible myth that supplements replace